Good evening and welcome to Savage Universe. I am J-M and I am here with Nigel of a Savage Worlds actual play. Nigel, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to be here and talk about this system, which I am a big fan of, by the way.
Well, let's start with, how did you come to Savage Worlds? What do you love about it?
Okay, so I've played in Savage Worlds games before, but I really got hooked on it with Adventure Edition. And this might be, considering I'm a forever GM type of person, this might sound a little sadistic, but I like Savage Worlds Adventures Edition because it's deadly. I've always had a problem with things like D&D, Pathfinder, the like, where you go through this grueling encounter and you fight this big bad guy and you get stabbed and shot and everything in between, and then you sleep for 8 hours and you're all better. Like,
Yeah.
no broken bones, no scars, no anything. And when got into Savage Worlds or Swade, specifically, they had these permanent injuries. They had, what do you mean I can only take like 3 hits and I'm dead? What do you mean I have to bleed out? What do you mean I've got permanent injuries? Like, I can only heal every 5 days.
Yeah.
Like that, that's new. That was different to me. And it's like, well, this is the kind of game I'm into. I'm not all that much into the power fantasy of like, I want the players to earn their victory, and I want them to feel their scars. I want them to feel how much they had to go through, and I want those consequences to last longer than the 8 hours they need to sleep. That's my favorite part about the system, is that it gives consequence to getting hit.
Yeah.
And
I
that.
love the fact that we've got the golden hour rule, right? It's not like
magical. Yeah, exactly.
Healing is forever. If that wound really sets in, all right.
Like, it's worse if you don't have a healer in the group, which sometimes you don't. Arcane backgrounds are optional. And like, if you don't have a healer and you can't find a healer and you fudge or if you screw up your healing rolls, once that 1 hour passes, like, well, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Good luck, I guess.
Yeah, and Tink loves the death spiral, that as you take those wounds, you're feeling those wounds because suddenly I'm at -2 to everything I do.
And it requires
pennies to stop that.
Yeah, and it requires an edge. Like, it requires you need to be very specifically training, getting an edge, getting the advance for an edge that lets you ignore those wounds. Because not the average person, or even any regular person, or even anyone who's well trained for fighting, is not going to be able to ignore a gunshot or a stab wound. Like, you can't just shrug that off unless that's something you specifically honed your body to do for some reason.
And you're giving up something else to be able to do that.
Yeah, just because you want to do this. And it's great for me because, like, you can. I enjoyed like the Superman story when they humanize Superman. Like, it's great to have the power fantasy, but it's better if you worked for it. Like, if you went through the ringer for it. That's what I love about the system.
My very first game master advice that I ever read was John Wick's Play Dirty, which was a series of articles that he wrote for Steve Jackson Games. And he was like, every player wants to be John McClane. That means they got to walk over broken glass barefoot before they get the right to fight the boss. And for anybody who's played at my table, that's pretty much how I run games. So what did you cut your teeth on role-playing wise? And then when did you first really encounter Savage Worlds?
So I have started tabletop in general. Yeah. Ironically, not with D&D like most people. I actually started tabletop with the World of Darkness in Vampire the Masquerade, like 2nd edition.
Oh wow, yeah.
Which was its own kind of content.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, then as a first game ever, kind of not ideal to start out with that as your very first game ever. But Yeah, I got into that, and I've always appreciated that because I grew up with the appreciation for the role play aspect of like it's not just the mechanics and the dice and
Yeah.
the kill this thing monster of the week style. It's the bonds, it's the role play, it's the politics, it's all of that.
Yeah.
Uh, when I got into Savage Worlds because I run a game privately for me and my friends, um, almost every night, which is a
Oh,
lot of
awesome.
for me. And they're all different systems. So we've got like Legend of the Five Rings. We
Great game.
got exactly. We got Indie. We got World of Darkness. But I got tired of one particular system, and I was like, I need something fresh. This was a few years ago. I need something that scratches that itch. Like Legend of the Five Rings does a great job of making all the injuries narratively sound and making you work for the healing and everything. And I
Yeah.
wanted something like that, but wasn't locked into the medieval Japan, fantasy setting. And then I found specifically the Deadlands Companion to Savage Worlds Adventures Edition. And
Yeah.
it's like it's got cowboys, it's got zombies, it's got dead people. I never knew Deadland. I've never played Deadlands in its like original form
Yeah.
in all of its previous editions. I just found Deadlands through a stream by the Ox Venture Guild.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so I saw their Deadlands streams. Like I listened to it because I'm a fan of them, and I heard them talking about the system and everything. It's like this is a cool system. Like they have built-in advantages with the bennies. They got this really simple initiative draw that makes it random and fun and doesn't require a lot of waiting around for people to roll.
Yeah.
And the initiative keeps changing. They got one of them got hurt and the pain lasted, and then at that point in the stream, that was like second episode. Okay, I'm sold. I looked
Yeah.
up the system. And it's like okay, okay. It's a the thing that drew me in was it's a genre agnostic system initially. Like you have that. I could run medieval, I could run fantasy, I could run modern, I could run sci-fi. And they
Yeah.
have all these companions. And the minor thing, but I use Foundry as a virtual tabletop.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean it's officially supported, so I don't have to worry about the community developers getting tired of it and then dropping it, and I can actually purchase the modules, and I don't have to type them in from the PDFs I buy. So like I'm gonna buy the PDF anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just buy the Foundry pack. I'm all set. This is an
Yeah.
easy to run game.
Yeah.
And like, but yeah, the first Savage Worlds I did was the Deadlands Companion, and yeah, just the wound system, the hindrances. Like I'm a sucker for systems that put flaws into the character mechanically and narratively.
Oh, yeah.
And like,
Merits and Flaws from World of Darkness, man. That was.
yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
More systems need that system built in. Like Legend of the Five Rings, VTM, and now Savage Worlds. Like it fits into this ecosystem of games that I like, where the flaws are built in as a mechanic instead of just something that you expect the players to role play. Because there are some players who want flaws on their characters, but you can just in D&D you can say like my character is this, but I mean, what does that really mean? If you're not going to role play it, if there's nothing's putting you into that, if you don't feel that flaw pressuring you, then what's the point?
Right.
But like, you have these hindrances, and the only way to get rid of them is to give up something else. Like you can't get stronger because you're too busy resolving your trauma.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense.
And I love that there are some that are mechanical for players who are like, I want the hindrance, but I don't want to have to role play it. Like I'm fine with just taking a mechanical hit.
Yeah.
But if you take the ones that don't have a mechanical hit or play up your mechanical hits, the GM's supposed to reward you with a Benny. And it's like, well, I want more bennies, so I'm going to play my flaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those narrative flaws are some of the best ones there. Like the enemy flaw has always been fun for me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially if you take it as a minor flaw and there's just this random guy that doesn't really do much harm to you, but he screws up everything you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the funniest thing.
Yeah.
And then, for one reason or another, if they get the major flaw, it's like now you have a recurring bad guy that doesn't need a reason to show up other than I hate you.
I hate this guy so much. Yeah. So what led you to wanting to stream? Tell us about, let's start with, tell us about Cybernation. I'm going to put the links. So you have a Twitch. You have a Twitch
Yep.
stream, which is right here. And then I'll put the YouTube channel up here in a bit because you can go back and watch the Cybernation.
Yeah. So Cybernation Uncensored, I don't personally own the channel. I'm working on it as a community manager.
Okay.
But it started out as this cyberpunk, as in the system channel, and then it expanded to the cyberpunk genre, and then it further expanded into dystopian society, like basically anything that isn't your standard high fantasy D&D style thing, right? I started streaming Vampire the Masquerade on it actually,
Oh,
and
awesome.
Blade Runner from Free League.
Another great game.
Yes, absolutely. But I wanted to do Savage Worlds, specifically the Supers companion, because I liked, if you know this, I don't know if anyone doesn't know it, but the series The Boys on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the concept of it, of like, if superheroes were real, they're not they're not all gonna be paragons of justice Superman style. Like, let's face it, if people had superpowers, they're gonna be a little messed up.
Yeah.
Right? They're gonna be a little power trippy. But like, I wasn't a fan of The Boys with their more controversial proclivities of the people, let's say. But I like the concept of like the superheroes, the darker side of it, like the persona they present. And I wanted to do that. And wasn't sure how to portray that in the game. No, I didn't know a system that would be good for superheroes. And behold, when I was looking, I literally just Googled tabletop RPGs for superhero games. It's like there were some Marvel ones which I didn't like. They weren't what I was looking for. And then I found out that Suede has a Supers companion. It's like, I'm gonna look at that. And I looked at the powers, and I'm like, yeah, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And I decided, this system just keeps knocking it out of the park for me. Like, they have a fantasy companion, they have Pathfinder companions, they have a horror companion apparently, which I only recently found out. Like,
yeah. And I'm a huge fan of Savage Rifts because
Right.
obviously I got a ton of Palladium books up here, but like I'm running actually a Savage Rifts game right now for a group of kids because why not? Like Savage Worlds just does it all.
Yeah. And like all the systems within Savage Worlds, Suede is still my favorite, but all these systems to me, when I've looked them up, is like they're just really good at, you give the players their power fantasy, you give the players their victory, but it's earned. Like the victory is something you have to work for. It's not just given to you. And after you've earned that victory, you don't just go on the next quest. Like, if you do that, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like you have to take the break and you have to fix yourselves and you have to patch yourselves up. And that's the system I want. And I realized that even with the Supers companion, right? Even when you have the superpowers and the regeneration and everything, like that's not set in stone. Like, not everyone's gonna have that power. And even the ones that do, like, there's a lot of things that it doesn't cover. There's a lot of problems you can throw their way. There's the hindrances they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And it just makes it more meaningful when you accomplish something, and it makes you think harder about how you're going to do something rather than run up and hit the guy.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to run up close and hit a guy with a sword if I know that in 8 hours I'm fine.
Yeah.
But if I know that I can take injuries and they're going to hurt and all of these things, I'm going to think twice about running up to the giant dragon and just stabbing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to start thinking like, what? Maybe I shouldn't. Go up to the dragon that does this. Yeah.
You've also got the fact that like sometimes running up and swinging your sword is just going to give you the same result you had before. You got to start thinking, what other skills, what other powers can I use to make it to like help set up taking down a big threat.
Yeah, because you can't just run into it. Like,
yeah.
in D&D it's somewhat tactical, but at the end of the day, you're not afraid for your life necessarily. You're afraid of the damage it's gonna do, but you're
Yeah.
not afraid of any lasting consequence.
Exactly. So John Doom wanted to know: do you use the gritty damage rule?
I've
in your game?
not implemented that in my games yet because I find that it's deadly. It's the right amount of deadly enough for me with the base rule.
Awesome.
If I introduced that, it would have to be, at least in my play style, it's gonna have to be run a little differently. And it's gonna need to come with a few disclaimers for the players that you might want to prepare a secondary character.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the people in the chat I just read is Miserable Junkie. She's one of the players I have privately. In my closed group,
awesome.
and one of the one of the things I did in my Deadlands game is, you know what, you guys took care of a very large threat. Let's see how well you do if I send like 20 zombies at you, and like, let's see how well this goes. And they almost died. So like, and to be fair, I didn't just throw it at them at random. Like they went into a situation where they didn't know that was going to happen, but it was planned the whole time. Like if they chose this would happen, but they chose alternatively, and they fought a horde of zombies. And like, I felt right then and there, like, yeah, this game really is deadly. Like this is not, D&D and 20 goblins.
Oh yeah.
You can fight through it, but here, like, you can fight through it. You're gonna feel it after, and you're gonna feel it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So when do you stream? Like if people wanted to watch you live, what day and time are you streaming your superhero game?
So it's every Sunday, 5 East. I need to get this right. 5 Eastern and 8 Pacific, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 5 Eastern, 8 Pacific. I want to say, or no, sorry, that's backwards. 5 Pacific and 8 Eastern. Sorry, I'm not American.
No, that's totally fine.
It's 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, and yeah, it's every Sunday. And we just started,
Very cool.
already they're all feeling the effects of the system. One of them already got injured by what is considerably a minor threat. He's power level 1, and he just got a hit on the heroes who are power level 3.
Oh man,
it happens.
The swinginess is a feature, not a bug of the game.
Yeah,
and I love that.
That was another thing about the game, is like the way they level up hits really, it's really nice for me. Like I've never liked how rigid D&D can be, where you have to follow a certain progression path, right? Like once you pick a class, that's it. Like this is one of the few, if not the only system, at least that I know of, that I personally run, that doesn't have classes necessarily. Like you can take an arcane background, sure, but even without it, your character is your own. Like you are whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
Like who says you can't be a 7-foot tall giant that happens to be a genius? Like it's great.
Yeah, what I love about Savage Worlds is I've played generic systems before that are all point buy, and while I enjoyed those systems, what I love about Savage Worlds is I'm not the one who has to make the characters, because I'm the only one who understands the math that goes into making a character for like champions or ascendant or GURPS. Like making a character in Savage Worlds, you can make whatever you want, but it's very easy to, like, for a player, even a new player, to comprehend, okay, I have this many points to spend on attributes. Okay, I have this many points to spend on skills. If I want more points, I have to take hindrances. I can pick an edge and I'm done. Like it's not like here's 1,500 points, now go make a character. They give you the flexibility of a generic system, but the simplicity, which for me is one of the like key design features of Savage Worlds. Like they keep taking away until it's perfect and it runs smoothly.
Yeah, and I think simplicity is the right word, because like it's not rules light. It's not like
No.
Powered by the Apocalypse where there's nothing there. But at the same time, it's simple enough that you can run a very long form, meaningful game and not have to, as the GM, judgment call a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it's simple enough for the players and the GM. It was the easiest system to learn for me. Like Vampire the Masquerade took a while when I wanted to run it.
Yeah.
Even D&D took a little bit of understanding. But like this, you read the book. In fact, you don't even have to read it in full. You can keep going back to it for the references, but there's a certain section with the mechanics of the dice, and you suddenly understand everything.
Yeah.
Like you just get it.
Again, I ran an 8-month campaign of D&D 5e for a group of kids, and I would say most of them still by the end of the 8 months didn't really understand how everything worked just for their character. I ran that same group became a 8-month Deadlands game, and 90% of them got the system like by session 2.
It
was
was
great.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's simple enough that both players and GMs don't have to put in that much effort to learn it.
Yeah.
But it's very enjoyable. Like it's not a rules light system that's only meant for a small short form game.
No, it's got depth to it. It's got meat on the bones. But like I remember Shane talking about the chase mechanics. The chase mechanics are very simple and concise, and it took them so long to get those rules kind of rewritten and like clarified and rewritten and edited so that it was as simple as possible, yet still dynamic as it is.
It was done really well. Like every system has its quirks, but with, at least for me, with Suede specifically, like it's the kind of system that I personally feel like this was made for how I run games. Like this is how I want to run my games. I don't need to make a homebrew rule like I do with D&D and every other system. Like this is it. This is simple, easy, but in depth. It's just not complex, but it's in depth.
Well, Nigel, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this. Everybody, check out the show Sundays in the evening, 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. So start at Eastern and work backwards. But speaking of superheroes, I'm pretty sure Altered Morality is starting as soon as we wrap up here in 1 minute, which is the Necessary Evil game the Knights of the Smith Tenor Table do. So thank you so much for showing up and hanging out and talking about your channel. We've got you up on the Savage Worlds media partners. And I'm looking forward to more of the show.
And thank you for having me on here and letting me talk about it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It's an awesome system.
Yeah, it is one of the great joys of my life to just get to hang out with people who are doing fun things with Savage Worlds and talk about this. Yeah, and speaking of, I'll be back on Monday with more Savage Universe. We're going to have, he's in the chat right now, this guy here, John Doom. I'm going to have John Doom and Tracy Sizemore on to talk about the Han Cluster. But Nigel, before we wrap up, anything else you want to say about the stream, about Savage Worlds, just anything to wrap up the show?
Yeah, again, the time is 5 Eastern, 8 Pacific. 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. I will get that mixed up all the time. But if anyone here hasn't tried it before, particularly Adventures Edition, it's my favorite Savage World system.
Yeah,
it's great if you're looking for something that you can do narratively, like a narratively driven game, but still have the rules necessary to run it where you don't have to homebrew anything. That's awesome. But there's one thing I want to point out, which is a homebrew thing I do with the Savage World system, which is kind of fun. I remove the hindrance limit for players to buy. Like, I don't let them just buy 4 points. I let them get as much as they want, and they can have the edges to match it. But I find that when you remove that limit, there are some players that will take it to the extreme and get like 8 various major hindrances. And it's fun just watching them figure out how to get around all their all their problems and trauma. To balance it out with the advances, I allow for anything beyond the first 4. I allow for narrative removal of the hindrances if they do something in game that is meaningful enough to remove it beyond the first 4.
Yeah, I have a player, Tink, who always is like, well, could I have one more point or 2 more points of hindrances?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, if you're gonna play them,
if you're playing into them, why not?
Yeah.
But like, it's fun to watch your players find these hindrances and just put them in. So I would suggest you try it out. It's actually really fun and gives you as the GM a lot of ammunition to use against them.
Yeah, I see it as my job as the GM is to give players enough rope to hang their characters. And if you want to take, 8 points of hindrances, you're just giving me enough rope. Like, you're the one weaving the rope. And I'm like, all right, that's fine for me.
If you want your noose to be a steel cable instead of hempen rope, who am I to stop you?
That's right. Exactly. Nigel, I think we would get along famously in the way we run games. All right, everybody. That's it for Savage Universe tonight. Stay tuned for Altered Morality. It will be here shortly. Check out Nigel's Savage Worlds game on Sundays. And go out there and play some Savage Worlds. And make all your dice ace. Have a good one, everybody.